today's video, we will learn about probability. Now you can see some statements here. It will probably rain today. I doubt that he will pass the test. Chances are high that price of diesel will go up. There is a 50-50 chance of India winning a toss in today's match. So in everyday life we come across these statements. So the words probably, doubt, chances, etc. are used in the statements with this involve an element of uncertainty. For example, in the first statement, it will probably rain today. That means it may rain or it may not rain today. We are predicting rain today based on our past experience when it rained under similar condition. So what do you mean by probability? So probability means a measure of uncertainty of various phenomena numerically is called as probability. For example, when you toss a coin, you may get a head or a tail. There is a 50-50 chance of getting a head or a tail. There is an uncertainty there. We cannot tell that when I toss a coin, I will get head or I will get tail for sure. I cannot say like that. So there is an uncertainty. So that measure of uncertainty is called as probability. So why we are learning probability? Though probability started with gambling, it has been used extensively in the field of physical science, commerce, biological science, medical science, weather forecasting, stock exchange, etc. It has got many applications in our day-to-day life. So there are three different approaches to probability. First one is statistical or empirical or experimental approach, which is mainly based on observation and data collection. The second one is classical approach or theoretical approach, which is based on equal probable events. And the third one is axiomatic approach, that is for real life event, which is mainly based on set theory. In class 9, you have already studied about statistical or empirical or experimental approach to probability. So in class 10, you are going to study about classical approach or theoretical approach. And in your higher class 11th standard, you will study about axiomatic approach to probability. So in class 9, you have studied about this experimental probabilities of event which were based on the result of actual experiment. In experimental approach, you are doing the actual experiment, you are observing it, you are collecting the data, and then you are coming to the conclusion. That is experimental approach to probability. Before going to the classical or theoretical approach of probability, we will learn more about statistical or empirical or experimental approach to probability. So suppose I have tossed a coin 1000 times. I have done the experiment of tossing a coin 1000 times. Now in this I got head 455 times and I got tail 545 times. So what is my empirical probability of getting the head? Empirical probability of getting the head is 445 divided by 1000. That means number of trials in which I got head divided by total number of trials. Total number of time I tossed the coin is 1000 and in which I got head for 455 times. In the same way, what is the probability of getting the tail? That is I got the tail for 545 times, and total trials I have done is 1000 times. So 545 divided by 1000. So these probabilities are based on the result of actual experiment of tossing a coin 1000 times. For this reason, they are called as experimental or empirical probability. In fact, these experimental probabilities are based on the result of actual experiment and adequate recording of the happenings of events. For example, if I tossed a coin, say some 5000 times, I may not get the same result. Here the probability of getting the head is 0.45 and the probability of getting the tail is 0.545. So, but if I toss the same coin 5000 times, maybe I can get the probability of getting the head may be 0.5 and probability of getting the tail may be also 0.5. So, as the number of tosses increases, the experimental probability of getting a head or a tail seems to be settling down around the number 0.5, which is what we call theoretical probability of getting a head or a tail. So why we want to learn classical approach or theoretical probability? Because the experimental probability has got its own limitations. For example, we can toss a coin any number of times, or we can throw a die any number of times to get the accurate value. But what about launching a satellite? Is it possible, in order to compute the empirical probability of its failure during launching, is it possible to launch satellite several times? Or if you want to study the phenomenon of an earthquake, to compute the empirical probability of a multi-storied building get destroyed in the earthquake, is it possible to do that several times? So this empirical probability has got its own limitations. So empirical probability or experimental probability has got its own limitation. It is very difficult to do some experiments a large number of times. And as we see in launching a satellite and all, it is expensive. So the definition of theoretical probability is probability of an event E is equal to number of outcomes favorable to E divided by number of all possible outcomes of the experiment. We will see in detail about theoretical probability or classical probability in the upcoming videos. Thank you for watching my video.